Alright, the Sig P365 update. I've been promising you guys we are finally to the table with this thing, and I'm going to tell you everything I know about it up to this 1,000 round mark. Going to tell you some of the issues that Sig had, how they responded. I'm going to tell you about my reliability, how it carries, how it shoots, and overall how this gun looks after 1,000 rounds. We're going to have some really cool pictures to show you guys and just give you an idea of how this particular P365 has done through 1,000 rounds. And our Patreons, we're doing our quarterly giveaway on Patreon. If you want to support the channel, you have a great chance to win an awesome Core Essentials belt for this quarter. And I appreciate all of you guys and everything you do. Even if you can't do any of that, just watching and subscribing is great, and I appreciate you guys all for that. So let's go ahead and get started. I do have the M&P Shield on the table for a reason, just as a little bit of comparison. So just so you guys know, the production date on my P365 is April 19th of 2018. Okay, so we've had this gun for almost a year. Let's talk about fit, finish, and show you how this gun has basically worn in. Okay, slide wear up here, you can tell a little bit from in and out of a holster. Okay, I carry it in a Tolster holster, of course, just like that. And this setup has worked great for me. I mean, I carry the extra mag. All right, actually, normally I carry that mag as an extra, but you know, whatever, you get the idea. One of their universal mag carriers. So that leads me with 21 rounds on me in a gun that's smaller than the Shield right here on the table. So pretty good there. But the slide wear, you can tell right there in the front, this doesn't really bother me. And because of some of the issues that this gun has had, I'm going to point out everything. Even if it doesn't bug me, I want to report it to you guys and let you know what's going on. A little bit of wear on the frame, but you know, this being a carry gun, and don't get me wrong in this video, I just want to make this perfectly clear. No matter what I say in this video, there have been legitimate issues on this gun, and I'm not taking away from anybody that's had any kind of issues. So I just want to throw that out there, but I can only report to you guys what I'm seeing with my example. Okay, so there you go. So the outside, you have the nitron finish. Inside, you have stainless steel. Generally speaking, I've had really good luck with the nitron finish, and it's held up pretty good so far. Let's break the gun down, show you some of the issues that some people were having. Quite a few list of issues that we'll go over. But if you take a look at the barrel here, we'll of course show you some close-ups. A little bit of wearing on the side of the hood there. On the top, really not a whole lot going on. There's your little barrel cutout reliefs that they did in the second gen. So this is technically a second gen. I think we're at freaking 4 gens in a year now or something. 3 or 4, whatever it is. On this side, you can tell there's a little bit of wear there as well. On the barrel itself, there's really not a whole lot of wear at all. And I've seen some images of barrel peening and stuff from some of the early guns, and man, it was bad. Inside of the slide, you can see a little bit of wear down there on the top of the slide, but nothing like some of the pictures, like I said, I was seeing. Inside here, striker, you know, housing and everything looks okay. I don't see anything that stands out as being, whoa, this might be an issue. Now, just for an example, the M&P Shield, this is one of the guns that really started our channel. We've shot this gun more than any, okay, and this one is has significantly more slide wear and stuff like that on it. But just showing you the inside. Take that out here just to show you, give you an idea of what this barrel looks like after thousands of rounds. You can tell the slide wear there. Wear on the barrel hood, pretty normal stuff. A little bit on the side of the hood. A little bit underneath, you know, where metal to metal is, you know, supposed to be contacting. It's very similar. I mean, like I said, we have less rounds through the Sig P365, but I don't see anything that stands out with the gun as being like a, you know, an alert to that this might be an issue with the gun. All right, so that's the inside. Like I said, they've had some issues, but this one does not show any significant damage. Now, Tim at Military Arms Channel. He put out a Facebook post or a video or something like that about there being a drag, all right, from one of the, I think from the trigger return spring, or one of the springs was catching up on his magazines and leaving some deep gouges on the right side. You can tell on my mags that I have a little bit of wear there, but nothing like the gouges that he was seeing. All right, so, and I referenced some of these guys because that's, you know, anybody that was having an issue like that and able to show it on camera, you know, that's pretty significant. And obviously, you know, when you're showing it on camera, it's hard to deny that. So from what I see, not a whole lot going on with my example here. Let's put it back together. Now, what about some of the issues they were having? So trigger springs, the return spring was lengthened. I think the striker spring was lengthened. They had the bevel on the hood to prevent some of that wear. Sear block changes, the striker cutouts. I think some of the first guns had a return to battery issue. Faulty night sights, maybe even some sights were falling out of the slide, and the barrel peening. So you're talking about quite a few issues in a brand new gun. Now, let's just keep it real here, because most manufacturers with a first-gen gun have issues, but not that many issues. You know, that's a lot of issues in a short amount of time. So, but what it looks like to me is that most of those issues are really down to the first and maybe some of the second gen, maybe some of the third gen, but most of that stuff was really around the first gen guns, and then they started rolling out changes. Now, I think one problem that Sig had is the way they responded to it, because at first they almost were denying it and saying this is normal and blah, blah, blah. And then they came out and said, okay, yeah, we're going to start doing some rolling changes, and we're going to upgrade everybody to the X-ray night sights. And you know, that's, I think the way they responded kind of added fuel to this fire, you know, because you don't respond to people like that, especially when they can show you, hey, I'm having this issue. They show you on camera or pictures or whatever. You know, in general, I've had pretty good luck with Sig, but, you know, that's not the way you respond to people having issues with a brand new gun. Now, of course, I appreciate everybody that's actually taken the time to bring some of these issues to light, but the only thing I can really tell you as far as issues that I've had personally so far is we had one light primer strike very early on. I think in our first mag or couple mags of shooting this gun, we put the round back in and it fired. So I can't really account that to anything, but probably just a bad round. Other than that, I haven't really had any issues at all to speak of in a little over 1,000 rounds. We have had the striker drag, okay? I'm sure you guys have heard that way more than you wanted to this past year, but we have had the striker drag. Now, the only reason that would concern me is if that striker drag actually reaches the brass, you know, because the primer is softer than the metal on the striker, right? But you know, in some cases, it's pretty significant. You know, it's almost reaching the edge of the brass. So that's going to put undue wear on your striker eventually. It may even do that even, you know, I can't say for certain, but it's not as bad on other guns that I've shot, you know, and I really only started paying attention to that once I got this gun. But the Shield and other guns that I've noticed have not had that bad of a striker drag, okay? So it is putting undue wear on the gun. Not sure why that's happening, because you have guns that are just as small. So from what I understand is because there's not a lot of time for the barrel to cycle through. The striker is basically hanging on to the round or hanging on to the primer longer than it should because you have such a short action here. And, you know, I've heard things about, you know, delaying the cycling process and all that kind of stuff, you know, to prevent that. But it hasn't caused any issues, but I could see where it could, you know, in the future possibly. How it shoots, same way from when we did our first review. I mean, it shoots really, really good. You know, you have the X-ray sights. That was an upgrade they did really early on with the second gen, maybe even the first gen. When those started rolling out, they put the X-ray night sights on there, which I really love. I think it's just an awesome sight picture. You can pick up that green dot really easily. And holding the gun in your hand, you have a pretty natural point of aim. One thing that we notice is instead of keeping everything level across the top, I've actually noticed that keeping my front sight post up a little bit over the rear sights actually helps a little bit with getting, better grouping and stuff. But other than that, for such a small gun, there's some recoil to it, but it's not bad at all, to be honest with you. Shoots great. So overall, I think the Sig P365, at least our example, has been fantastic. And here's the thing. Even if this gun crashes and burns, people just say, I don't, because I've had quite a few of you guys tell me, hey, listen, I like the 365, but I just don't trust it. And I understand that. So even if this gun just goes away and, crashes and burns, whatever, it has set the stage for other manufacturers to pack 10 rounds in a gun that's smaller than an MP shield. That's a good thing for all of us, because we know that even if SIG's having issues, and even if they don't get any of this stuff fixed, or whatever happens from here, if the reputation on the 365 is just marred and people will not buy it, which I think people are still actually buying it, but even if that happens, these other manufacturers are going to get it right. They've seen what SIG has gone through. They have seen how SIG has responded, at least in the beginning, and they're going to come out with guns of their own. Glock 43X, prime example. That gun's on the way to us. So we're going to have a pretty cool video with the P365, a little comparison there. But Smith & Wesson is another one. Can't wait for them to come out with one. So there's going to be a lot of micro, compact, 9mm handguns for us to choose from because of the Sig P365. And to me, that's a good thing. Now, just to show you really quick, I encourage you to go watch our initial review of this gun, but just to give you an idea, the shield is 7 rounds, the Sig is 10. And you can see it is shorter than the M&P shield, which has pretty much been a standard in concealed carry for a long time. Overall, the footprint on the Sig all the way around is just smaller, which is a good thing. So there you go. There is our update on the Sig P365. Our example has been nothing short of awesome, but there's been a lot of issues, and we will see how Sig bounces back from this one, if they get everybody's issues corrected, and hopefully they do and people start carrying them. If not, we're going to have a lot of options down the road, so I'm really excited about that. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one, and as always, hold them down.